Have you ever noticed a subtle tingling in your fingers or toes that you brushed off as just another sign of getting older? Perhaps you've woken up feeling strangely fatigued, like your nerves were already worn down before the day even began. You are not alone. Recent data suggests that many people over 60 quietly experience nerve stress that can accelerate memory lapses, trigger unexplained aches, and even affect mood. But here's the real shocker: some of our most ordinary daily habits are the hidden culprits. They look harmless on the surface, just routine parts of life, yet they slowly chip away at our nervous system's resilience. And by the time we realize it's happening, significant damage might already be done. Why does this matter so much? After 60, your nervous system becomes a delicate control center that holds the key to balance, memory, reaction times, and even emotional well-being. Unlike a bone fracture or a muscle strain, nerve damage rarely announces itself with immediate drama. Instead, it creeps in quietly and continues its work in the background. Many seniors blame these changes on natural aging, when in fact, small tweaks in daily routines can protect precious nerve health for years to come. In recent years, scientists have found that these invisible stressors, like certain dietary patterns or mental habits, can spark chronic inflammation and degrade nerve function much faster than you'd expect. This means that the difference between feeling mentally sharp at 80 or struggling with constant tingling at 65 could be influenced by what you do this very week. Think of a good friend of mine, Marjorie, who always prided herself on her daily routine. She'd start her mornings at 6 a.m. with 2 large cups of coffee, skim through the news on her tablet, then settle into the day. By afternoon, she felt frazzled, but she assumed that was just part of getting older. Then, at 67, she began noticing sharp tingles in her wrists, an odd sense of mental fog in the evenings, and even a slight tremor in her left hand when she was feeling stressed. After consulting with a nutritionist, she discovered that a few small habits, some she'd done for decades, were quietly wearing down her nervous system. Once she learned which daily routines to adjust, the improvements amazed her. She felt clearer-headed, calmer, and those unsettling tingles gradually subsided. So, what exactly are these hidden routines? Today, we're going to explore 4 everyday habits that can stealthily degrade your nervous system after 60. These aren't rare or bizarre behaviors. In fact, you'll likely recognize every single one of them from your own life or from those around you. More importantly, we'll discuss simple, practical strategies that anyone can apply in a home environment. There's no need for fancy medical treatments or complicated therapies. By the end of this video, you'll know precisely how to protect your nerves, reduce that constant sense of tension or fatigue, and feel more like the vibrant, clear-minded person you deserve to be. Stick around until the end, because the final habit we'll uncover is the most deceptive of all, the one almost everyone overlooks, and yet it can quietly erode your nerve health for years. Let's begin with the first subtle routine, the tendency to reach for coffee, tea, or sugary treats multiple times a day without a second thought. It's no secret that we love our stimulants. A warm mug of coffee in the morning can feel like a comforting ritual, especially if you've been doing it since your 30s. However, after 60, your body's tolerance to caffeine and sugar often shifts in ways you might not expect. The lining of your stomach becomes more sensitive, your metabolism slows down, and your neurons become more vulnerable to the inflammatory effects of too many spikes and crashes in blood sugar. A single cup in the morning usually isn't harmful for most people, but the problem arises when you add a midday pick-me-up, then maybe a sweet snack in the afternoon, and perhaps something else in the evening to keep your energy going. Over time, that constant seesaw of caffeine or sugar spikes revs up your sympathetic nervous system, the branch responsible for fight or flight reactions. That reaction floods your body with stress hormones like cortisol. In younger years, your system recovers swiftly, but after 60, these stress responses linger longer. Your nerves remain on high alert. In practical terms, that might mean more restlessness in the evening, difficulty falling into deep, restorative sleep, and a general feeling of nervous tension you can't quite shake. Some seniors also report odd nerve sensations in their hands and feet, like pins and needles or mild trembling when they overdo the caffeine. To counteract this, you don't need to give up coffee or sweets entirely, unless you have other medical reasons to do so, but you can set some boundaries. One simple approach is to limit coffee to your morning hours only. If you typically have 2 or 3 cups, try tapering it down to 1 or 2. Replace your late afternoon coffee with a caffeine-free herbal tea, like chamomile or rooibos, which can actually calm the nerves. For sweets, consider natural alternatives like berries or small portions of dark chocolate with a high cocoa content, which have fewer negative impacts on blood sugar. This switch alone can stabilize your energy levels, reduce jitteriness, and give your nervous system room to breathe. The second daily routine that can undermine nerve health is spending extended hours in sedentary positions without proper movement breaks. Yes, many people remain fairly active, but it's surprising how quickly the day can slip by while you're sitting, browsing the internet, reading, watching TV, or even doing crossword puzzles. Prolonged sitting, especially in poor posture, can compress certain nerves, especially in the lower back and neck, restrict blood flow, and weaken the muscles that support your spine. One of the more insidious aspects is that you may not feel discomfort right away. Instead, you might first notice a subtle stiffness in your shoulders, occasional numbness in your legs, or even slower reaction times. Over the years, research has linked prolonged sitting to higher risks of nerve compression syndromes, like sciatica or carpal tunnel, and a greater likelihood of chronic back pain. All these conditions revolve around how nerves are nourished and protected by the surrounding muscles and blood circulation. The good news? You don't have to start running marathons. Small changes can make a world of difference. For example, set a gentle timer, maybe every 30 or 40 minutes, to stand up, stretch your back, rotate your neck, or take a quick walk down the hallway. Some people find success with a simple sit-to-stand rule. For every hour of sitting, spend at least 5 minutes standing or strolling. You could also try gentle chair exercises like leg lifts or seated twists. Over time, these small bursts of movement preserve your flexibility, help maintain healthy circulation to the nerves, and reduce the risk of posture-related aches. Now, let's talk about the third routine that quietly grinds away at your nerves, mindlessly watching alarming or negative news for hours, especially in the evening. It's important to stay informed, but there's a significant difference between staying updated and immersing yourself in a constant stream of stress-laden headlines. Our brains aren't designed to process perpetual negativity without consequences. Each dramatic news clip or fearful story can trigger subtle surges in stress hormones. After 60, your nervous system has a harder time bouncing back from these mini surges because neuronal recovery is slower. Excessive worry, fueled by the barrage of bad news, can manifest physically. You might start noticing tension headaches, a racing heartbeat when you lie in bed at night, or a vague sense of dread that lingers throughout the day. Chronic stress is notorious for fanning the flames of inflammation in the body, which can then harm the protective sheath around your nerves. In simpler terms, every time you marinate in fear or worry, your nerves pay the price. Here's a more balanced approach: schedule your news consumption. Give yourself a 15 or 20-minute window in the morning or midday to check headlines. If you need a more in-depth update, try reading a trusted news summary rather than getting lost in hour-long broadcasts. And in the evening, especially close to bedtime, swap fear-inducing content for something more soothing, an enjoyable book, light music, or a calming documentary about nature or travel. You'll notice your nerves begin to relax, and that can translate to better sleep, steadier moods, and a calmer perspective on life's challenges. Finally, the fourth routine, and possibly the most deceptive one, is discounting the importance of restorative sleep. We often hear that older adults need less sleep. However, emerging evidence from geriatric research indicates that while total sleep hours might shift slightly, the quality of that sleep matters more than ever. When sleep quality deteriorates, due to late-night electronic use, irregular bedtimes, or emotional stress, your nervous system is robbed of the deep repair it relies on to function optimally. Think of your nerves as tiny cables that relay electrical signals all day long, guiding your movement, thoughts, and reflexes. Each night, these cables need a quiet window to regenerate chemicals, clean out cellular waste, and strengthen protective layers. If you're skimping on quality rest, whether by going to bed at wildly different times each night or watching stimulating shows right before turning in, you cut short that vital recharge cycle. Over weeks, months, and years, this adds up to stunted nerve function, making you more prone to forgetfulness, delayed reactions, and chronic nerve irritations, like tingling or burning sensations. What can you do at home to improve sleep hygiene? Keep a consistent bedtime to help your internal clock. Aim for a bedroom environment that's as dark and quiet as possible. Consider using blackout curtains or a white noise machine if you live in a noisy area. If you enjoy reading before bed, pick peaceful or uplifting content rather than anything that amps up your anxiety or adrenaline. And be mindful of bright screens, phones, tablets, TVs, for at least 30 minutes before lights out. By reducing artificial light exposure, you allow your body's natural melatonin production to guide you into deeper, more healing sleep. Now, you might be asking, which of these routines is the most dangerous? The reality is they can all be harmful, especially when combined. But the biggest threat often lies in how subtle they seem, which makes it easy to overlook them for years. That daily dose of stress-laden news, followed by multiple cups of coffee and hours of sitting, culminating in a restless night, that cycle, repeated day after day, can quietly unravel even the most robust nervous system. We often attribute new aches and waves of fatigue to just old age, when in truth, our everyday habits might be the real culprits. The most important point here is that it's never too late to make a change. Even if you're 65, 75, or beyond, small shifts can yield significant benefits. Marjorie, my friend mentioned earlier, started by cutting out late afternoon coffee, setting a limit on her news watching, and making sure she did gentle stretches every hour. Within a few weeks, her daily jitters dropped, her tremors lessened, and she started sleeping more soundly. Her story isn't an exception, it's a testament to the body's innate capacity to heal and adapt, given the right conditions. At this stage, you might feel a blend of curiosity and relief. Curiosity about how exactly these changes will impact you, and relief that you don't need specialized equipment or complicated procedures. Indeed, your home environment can be your personal nerve care sanctuary if you structure it wisely. Think about setting up a cozy reading nook that doesn't involve a TV, or rearranging your living room to encourage gentle pacing rather than long hours of sitting. As you master these routines, you'll likely discover you have more energy for hobbies or family time, fewer episodes of foggy brain, and an overall sense of calm that you may not have felt in years. Yet we shouldn't underestimate the power of accountability. If you have a partner, a close friend, or family members around, consider inviting them on this journey with you. Invite them for brief stretch breaks or ask them to join you for a walk instead of another hour in front of the television. The changes become more enjoyable when shared, and collective reminders help solidify new habits. We are reaching the critical culmination of this discussion. Here's the plain truth: the greatest danger to your nervous system is often not the dramatic, easily recognizable pitfalls, but those small, daily behaviors that slowly siphon away your vitality. By cutting back on excessive stimulants, breaking free from prolonged sitting spells, regulating your exposure to negativity, and prioritizing high-quality sleep, you give your nerves the strongest possible foundation. So, what's the bottom line? Your nervous system doesn't have to decline just because you're over 60. Simple, focused action can preserve nerve function, boost mental clarity, and maintain that sense of vibrancy you thought only younger people could enjoy. Imagine waking up without that nagging sense of fatigue, feeling your hands and feet free of bothersome tingles, and knowing your brain is ready for the day's tasks. Those experiences aren't just for the lucky few. They can be for you, too. Let's solidify these 4 steps into a practical call to action. Cut down on stimulants, choose a single window for your coffee or tea, and watch your sugar intake. Move more, sit less, use a timer or a habit of standing up and stretching at least every hour. Control the stream of negativity, limit your news consumption, especially before bed, and replace worry-inducing content with uplifting alternatives. Guard your sleep, keep a consistent bedtime, reduce screen exposure at night, and nurture a tranquil sleeping environment. If you commit to these simple changes, you'll be astonished by how different you feel in just a matter of weeks. And trust me, your future self, a more energetic, calm, and clear-thinking version of you, will thank you for it. Before you go, consider sharing your thoughts or experiences in the comments. Which of these 4 habits do you find the hardest to change? Have you noticed any nerve-related issues recently that you suspect might be linked to your routine? Let me know below. I'd love to hear your story and support you however I can. And if you're ready for even more tips on how to thrive after 60, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and check out my next video that dives into 5 hidden signs your body might be aging faster than it should. Together, let's continue this journey of living our best years, healthier nerves and all.